Welcome in to the most important episode of the year. The Denver Nuggets have their playoff opponent. The Denver Broncos are going to follow my draft plan and still be pretty bad next year, but be better overall for it. It's exciting times here. Dan, play that funky music. Welcome in to another episode of the Blues for Brothers. Kyle Poland here with my brother, Ryan Poland. We're here to break down the Nuggets, to break down what the Broncos should do, and we're going to hear from Dan at the end of the podcast all about the Rockies and how much he loved the fight that they showed tonight to get back to only lose by one run. He was electrified out there. Maybe we'll leave that last part of the podcast out for next time. We'll see if we have time for it.
Listen,
honestly, we want to give the time that it deserves, and so we'll see if we have time at the end for that.
I know you're joking, and I don't know if Dan has a mic right now, so I don't know that he can, but I've actually watched probably 75% of the Rockies games at this point, and I mean fully, including this whole Philly series outside of tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, everybody's getting after Bud Black for pinch running the best pitcher that we have in the franchise in the ninth inning and him almost getting his shoulder destroyed by a catcher going home. We literally pitch ran him on third base.
Yes.
It was truly one of the most baffling decisions you can ever make. If you're a traditional baseball fan, as I'm watching the team, I'm looking at it going, this guy, like the cojones you have to have in your job security, you have to be so sure that those owners are dumb that they're not even watching the games at that point.
Oh, so sure. I think you can be pretty sure that if Monford's alive, he is what is it? What was your, you have more wrinkles on your face than he has on his brain? I think that applies in this section as well. So, yeah, I think he might be trying to entertain himself.
Well,
at this point, like, hey, you think they'll fire me if I do this? Hey, Kyle, get out of here. You're not going to believe this, but I'm going to have you pinch run.
Yeah, I mean, their excuse was they literally didn't have anybody. And my thought is, okay, honestly, ghost runner on third. Who cares? Yeah. Like, just don't have anybody out there. It doesn't matter.
It's fine.
But it's, yeah, I think we could lose 100. How many games are there before the All-Star break? Could we lose 100 before the All-Star break?
I don't think so. I think it's pretty dead center.
Yeah. Well, you can always dare to dream, Rockies.
Yeah.
Dare to get to 90 losses before
We're
the All-Star
not even
break.
the worst team. The White Sox are truly embarrassing right now. But yeah, it's pretty great. And we won on opening day. So it's pretty funny. All right, though. So before we get into this Nuggets episode, we wanted to get into the Broncos draft. I think we kind of teased it at the end of last one. I think we're thinking different things, Ryan. So we obviously we're going to be spending a lot of time on the Western Conference playoffs, Nuggets, all that. But we did want to get on the record because we'll be coming to you Friday. So we'll have some round one, probably round two. We'll probably be done as well Friday night. And so we'll have the first two rounds reactions. So I figure we don't need to go into a 7-round mock draft. But I do have a 2-round draft plan. And I think it's just a beautiful thing.
I'm ready to hear it.
Okay. You were very upset with my first round pick. But if Brock Bowers is there, he is coming. Come on home, baby. Come on home. I know it shouldn't matter, but I saw him do a standing backflip today where he was like on TikTok where it was, it was like Calvin Ridley in training camp with the Jaguars out there.
Oh, you were bought all the way in?
Oh, Ryan. Even if we don't draft him, I promise you Mr. Bowers will be on a Kyle Poland fantasy team. I can't wait to welcome him aboard.
I can't wait to bet him up.
I can't.
Or bid him up.
Listen, as much as I win at fantasy, you can't make the price high enough, Ryan. I'm not going to win anyway. So if you want to dance with me for $70 for Brock Bowers, dance I shall, Ryan.
You are.
All right.
We probably do need to just have a dedicated episode breaking down how bad you are at fantasy football.
Oh my gosh. I don't even I'm always middle of the road, in the worst place. You're not just like last year I was technically had a chance for the playoffs, but everything has to break just right. And it wasn't like my team was getting insanely hot at the right time where you're like, dude, if I sneak in here, I might win this league. I was like, oh, I will absolutely get eliminated. I just have been happening to have some good matchups weirdly. It was, yeah, it's a depressing thing, but it's fine. But I got Brock Bowers. I think that he'll be the best player left at this. If he's gone, and I've seen some mocks where he's gone, I'm just taking the corner out of Alabama, or I'm trading back to 17. I saw a mock where if the corner from Iowa is available, then I'll just trade back and get him and try to get some more assets because, like we talked about, this Broncos team just does have tons of needs. So if you can pick up even an extra 5th-round pick, that guy has a chance to make this roster and make an impact.
It's like I'm really throwing it back here, but it's like the Simpsons episode. It's like one of the first seasons, and they go to Canada for some reason, and Lisa's playing basketball with the Canadian basketball team, and this is back when they were bad, before they were going to beat us in the Paris Olympics. And she just throws the basketball at the hoop, and it hits the backboard, and they go, wow, you could hit the backboard. You're going to start. And that's sort of anybody we drafted this draft.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, you're young and fast and have athleticism. Oh, great. You're going to be a star. How much can we pay you?
You don't have this stink of losing covering your entire body. It'll be great.
Unless you're Brock Bowers.
Yeah, no. Brock is the dream. And then round 2, welcome home, Mr. Penix.
Oh,
I want Penix. Penix round 2 is you are cooking.
do you think he's going to fall to round 2?
Yeah.
I literally was just looking at a draft that had him in the top 8, or had the Raiders drafting up for him or trading up for him.
Yeah,
I okay. So let me try to respond to a little bit here. I think if you can get Penix in the second round, then I'm okay with you. I don't like Bowers. I'm not okay with you taking Bowers. I understand your point here. I understand you having talent.
You were saying there wasn't as much impact in that position. No. Talk to me about why there's not.
Well, I don't know enough about his game to really say he doesn't block well enough or all of that thing. But big. You just have to be sort of a transcendent tight end for me to want you with this shitty of a roster. That, I think, is my point. It's not that he's bad. It's the opportunity cost of not drafting a team or a player that has potentially more impact on the game than a tight end. Right. Even if you're going edge rusher, I'd rather get a really solid edge rusher or an offensive lineman and just almost reach for that and get them on a rookie contract than get a Brock Bowers type of talent.
Yeah, I think so. My counter to that is I kind of think that tight end is the most undervalued position in terms of they're still
how undervalued can it be if you're drafting him top 10 or top 15?
But that's what I'm saying. I think the league undervalues it, how important it is, because it's not a coincidence that we had Kittle and we had Kelsey there.
So
I think that
how
playing
talented
small,
does he have to be for you to like? What in your view is his floor? Because to me, if you're drafting somebody in the top 15, that floor has to be extremely high.
Yeah.
You can't have somebody suck that you drafted 12th. Like, you literally can't do that and be a successful franchise. Look at the Broncos. So, like,
I think
what's
his
the
floor is Jeremy Shockey.
Okay.
Like, and Shockey was transcendently talented. Dealt with some injury stuff. So, like, I'm maybe not saying like prime Shockey is his floor, because that's kind of, I think that gets a bit undersell Shockey, because like how good he was when he was
the
healthy
career
was,
arc could be Shockey-esque.
yeah, that's
you've
the
got
floor.
3 years of really good production.
And I think he has like Kittle in him, where you just go, like, thinking about how defense is played, you're playing too high. And also, I think our coach has to play into it in terms of there's no one who uses running backs and tight ends better. Taysom Hill got paid huge off of Sean
Taysom
Payton.
Hill is still productive, though.
He's still okay.
I mean, he was a member of my very good fantasy team, and he was pretty
Didn't
good.
win. If you're not first, you're last, baby.
Win. If you're not first, you're last.
Yeah.
And fortunately for Kyle, he was actually last. So that's a good argument for him to
If
make.
you're in the middle of the pack, you're not last. That's it all depends on where your goals are, you know? But yeah, I think that with the too high safety, with more speed out on the field, if you have a physical player, a player who's strong, can sit down in zones, it takes out playoff football. There's going to be some bad weather games where if you just have speed all over the place, it's not as effective. You need a guy who can sit down, get in seams. You saw Kelsey do it.
I'm going to go playoffs?
Well, that's where
what are you talking about? What hypothetical?
Do you never want to make them again?
You have to have a quarterback. You can't have somebody who can't throw to the middle of the field.
And we're going to be bad this year no matter what. So I don't want to play a quarterback. Even if we got drafted up and got Caleb Williams, I don't want him to play. For this bum team, it'd ruin his confidence. We are thinking about 2-3 years from now. That's the only way you could think with this many holes. And I just think Bowers is the most sure thing that you can get at 12. If you want to trade up,
you're acting like development doesn't
matter.
You're acting like development doesn't matter. You're acting like Brock Bowers being on a team with a quarterback, even if we draft a quarterback who can't throw him the ball, and wide receivers that can't get open, so he gets doubled, and an offensive line that can't block, so he can't do anything. Like, you're acting like that isn't frustrating or going to impact Brock Bowers' development. And now you're taking a tight end as opposed to just...
Stop talking about the Kansas City Chiefs like that. All right? Some of those guys, old stone hands, all right? If he would have figured out how to catch the ball, he could have been dangerous out there, Ryan, all right?
I just don't think you can...
I think you can scheme the tight end the ball easier because you can put him in weird spots. You can put him... like in the backfield, you can line up, like you can put him in places where it's harder to just take a tight end out of the game. Like, it's not like in the playoffs, people didn't know the ball was going to Kelsey. Like, everyone knew, but you couldn't scheme him out enough. I
do think that it should be taken under advisement that we spent about 3 minutes talking about how bad you are at fantasy football. And one of the keys of fantasy football is drafting well. So let's just take that under advisement, for the remainder. But
some of them veterans are a little old for me, Ryan. All right, it's really the 22-year-olds. I'm strong. Sorry, I don't want to watch 40-year-old men, Ryan. All right, I haven't seen them. Wasn't familiar with their games. But these young guys, no. Like I said. It's just my take. You, while having been critical, have not given out a first-round pick or a plan. I mean, if you don't have like a specific player, but you're like, I want us to trade back or I want us to,
So I think if Well, yeah. I think that if New England is taking offers, I think if Sutton really wants out and you could give up 2 firsts and trade up for Drake May, I would do that tomorrow. I think Drake May is really good. I don't think that we're going to do that, and I'm not sure New England would take the deal. So I'm going to take that off the table. Like, that to me is my dream situation, is that we trade up for Drake May. I don't think we're going to do that.
No. There is no way, after all of this Robert Kraft stuff has leaked about him shanking Belichick in the back with 2 knives, that they are doing anything but taking Jaden Daniels or Drake May.
Well, Jaden Daniels, it seems like it's going to go Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And
that's what I mean. They don't get a choice in it. But
no,
if for some reason the Commanders commander extra hard, which we can't rule out, they've been known to commander from a time.
Well,
or two.
I think them taking Jaden Daniels is commandering. I believe in Drake May more than I believe in Jaden Daniels, but that's maybe something for a different podcast. I think they're both going to be really good, to be fair, but I don't think. Anyways, you have to get out of this with a quarterback, and I don't disagree with you that it should be Penix. If you think that somebody is going to get aggressive and trade up into the top 15, then I'm perfectly happy taking Penix with 12. Just do it. Who gives a shit? Like, I think we get so enamored with the like, oh, you can't take them before the value and all of this stuff and all these things. And like, at a certain point, if you like the player and you're okay with the position, just do it. Like, it obviously, if you could trade back 2 spots and get another pick later in the, like, yeah, that you have to take those calls and you have to be, but I would rather just take Penix if we like him at 12 and get a quarterback that we like, as opposed to trying to get cute, trading out of the spot, picking up a 5th and a 2nd and whatever, and assuming that somebody's going to fall to us. Like, I don't think that's a strategy. I just don't. And I think, so all of that to say, my strategy would be, if we can't get a quarterback that we love in the first round, I would rather use that pick on anything that's pretty much a sure thing.
How do you feel about Bo Nix? I noticed neither one of us has brought his name up. He's the odds-on favorite to go to the Broncos. We're the betting favorites. It's minus 150. It's not, crazy juice or anything, but
minus 150?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, that's pretty crazy juice.
Yeah, we are favored.
Because last time I looked at it, it was still plus odds. So that's like, that's smoke and probably a relatively large sign of a fire there. So let's talk about it. I hate it.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to do is cheer for a fucking duck. I'm going to have to be a Dolphins fan for the rest of my life, man. This franchise might just leave me behind.
Ryan, you can't switch because he's an Oregon Duck. He's not an Oregon Duck. He sucked in the SEC for many a year. All right, he's an Auburn Tiger.
He's a Duck right now.
And they didn't win anything. Who cares?
If he does the O one time at all, if I ever see that again, I'm out.
I don't think he's going to throw the O up. That'd be so lame. Incredibly
He went to
lame.
Oregon. Did you miss the part where he went to Oregon?
Yeah, I didn't miss it. But him as a football player, I'm not in love with. I think this was a guy, I lost a fair amount of money on him at Auburn. Just like, I'm a halfway college football bettor / consumer of the product. So usually I just go and I look, and he would be talking about all these athletes that Auburn has and this stout defense. And then I just watch him poop his pants on live TV whenever they played anyone remotely legit. I just don't think that this is a guy that when this game speed keeps going quicker, he's going to be able to keep up with that. Whereas Penix, I think he has insane ball placement. I think his processing is better. I don't hate what you're saying about just drafting Penix, and I agree that if you're not confident he's going to fall, and if there are, rumors that the Raiders are going to go after him or someone else is, of course, like if you hit on a quarterback, that's the biggest cheat code in the game. And if you think he's going to be gone and you don't like any of your other options, it doesn't matter that it's early. You just do it and you're happy with it.
Here's, I think, the thing that we might be able to just agree on and potentially move on is that Bo Nix is not fun.
No.
Bo Nix is not a fun player to root for. We've cheered for so many Bo Nixes in Broncos history. Like, I remember Jake Plummer. Like,
it's an insult to Jake Plummer.
Well, but I just mean that's his ceiling. Like, that's like
he's Brock Osweiler.
Well, Jake the Snake was fun as hell.
Yeah, he's Osweiler.
Yeah. He's greasy.
Yep. He's the Trevor Siemian. Like, it's like, it gets to a point where the game's a little quick for you, man. Like, or you don't quite have it in these moments. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think
there might be a random Sunday where you tear it up and get yourself another backup quarterback contract. But
to me,
it's not going to be consistent.
Well,
so,
I guess
God, Bo Nix depresses me. I don't want it.
All we want is a fun product to root for. It's not that hard. Like, if you can't draft somebody good, draft somebody fun. And to me, Michael Penix is way more fun than Bo Nix. And so...
And just the ceiling of it is...
Well, I don't know.
I think it's higher.
Yeah, I think it's higher too, but I'm not a quarterback expert, so
No. I'm just saying, like, those throws that we watched him make against Texas, I have never seen Bo Nix make a throw like that in his life. No. So...
I think, everybody's scared about the injuries and the age with Penix, right?
Yeah, which is fine. And like you said, we're not in those conversations. So yes, of course, if the Broncos have some terrible beat on it or some terrible news that they know that we don't, of course, do not take Penix. If
Denver does have a good history of drafting people who were red flagged by almost everybody in the league. In Michael Porter Jr.
I like what you're saying.
Penix could be hosting a podcast with porn stars tomorrow.
Yep. I don't refer to Kroenke that way. But
I wish. Could you imagine?
Well, he's been effing over Coloradans for quite some time now. He's effed over way more people than Lana Rhodes has ever had sexual intercourse with.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, just sheer numbers of people who should be able to watch their home team on altitude alone.
It's outrageous. But let's get in. I think the point here is we want him to come away with a quarterback. We would like that quarterback to be exciting, if possible.
I think we both want Penix.
Yes. I'm just saying, if there were red flags that we didn't know about,
what's available?
You could talk me into late round Spencer Rattler.
Oh, Jesus.
You could talk me into it, Ryan. Now, I've watched that man poop his pants many a time in prime time as well. But the pure
Isaiah
talent,
Hartenstein looking
mug. It is. He is an ugly fella. And not very nice, at least in high school. But
I don't want Spencer Rattler. He's short, isn't he?
He's pretty short. Yeah.
If we're gonna trade somebody with questionable character who's short and just draft somebody with questionable character that's short, we didn't even trade him. We
released.
Yeah. But I want somebody who I can picture starting in an NFL game and being excited about it for 16 games straight. 18 games straight. Let's say 16 because nobody plays 18 anymore. Or all 18.
You had a good season if you made it to 16.
Yeah. I just don't need anybody who I want somebody who in training camp, we as fans are pushing for them to start him. They shouldn't do it, and I think Sean Payton, to your point, is smart enough not to do it with a shitty team. But I want that like training camp buzz of like, oh, you should have seen the throws that Penix was making at practice today. Like, whatever veteran we signed is shitting his pants in front of him. Like, oh, he's not keeping that job through past week 6
over his own head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I hope we start Stidham for all the games.
Yeah. Put him out in front of that.
We should. What is the over under for the Broncos? I think those got released.
Yeah, I'm not positive. Producer Dan will look it up for us here real quick. But I guess you're more of a tackle / defensive end guy as far as impact there. I just don't trust anyone after Garrett Bowles. If we get another just clearly nerdy, not fun to hang around guy like Garrett Bowles again, Garrett Bowles is the worst.
I mean, yeah. Well,
We've
he
talked
also
about it on the podcast,
he also
I think,
held
in the
all the time. So,
well, but that's what I'm just saying. Not fun to root for once again.
yeah, no.
If you're gonna hold, I want to cheer for someone who I'm like, dude, that guy's awesome. He is out there cheating because he's a fun guy.
I've been listening to quite a few draft podcasts, just trying to like catch up. Honestly, I've been so engrossed in the Nuggets season that I haven't really dove in. And there's this offensive lineman that just seems like a freak who just has short arms, and it seems like the only reason that he's going to drop. And that's the guy I want. Like, I want the freak. I want to watch somebody on the field who's like, holy shit, what did we just see? Like, I don't know if this cornerback that you're talking about is sort of a Surtain light, but
it'd be emphasis on light. I mean, Surtain's a once in a generation.
But that's what I mean. Why are we taking somebody who's
because they're not available at 12?
Yeah, but then I
mean, I guess they are because I mean, Mahomes was taken after 12, whatever. But like,
honestly, though, why not clean house? Like, I know all these Broncos fans are losing their minds about Sutton potentially leaving and his cryptic IG thing. I'm like, trade him now.
Yeah,
like, this is Jerry Jeudy stuff. Like, let's get rid of him now so that, and he might be good somewhere else. Like, I don't want to ruin these people's careers. So I don't know.
No, I agree with that. So it'll be interesting to see what the Broncos do here. But I pray to God that Vegas is wrong.
5.5.
That we don't. Oh, take the under. We are going to be really bad. Yeah, pretty insanely bad. I think.
We'll have a last place schedule though.
Yeah,
5.5.
Had that last year.
5.5 with the last place schedule is a wild over under total.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see with this team, but. I'll tell you, if we have my boy Bowers, I'll be placing a bet on the over.
Oh,
all right.
The tight end is going to win us a game.
He's going to backflip his way right into my heart. I'm going to be in here. I'm going to be like, did you see when Bowers took the belt from Kelsey? My Lord, he walked into Arrowhead.
When we draft Bo Nix, you can just adopt.
Oh, my
What if we draft Bo Nix and Bowers goes to Miami? Will you become a Dolphins fan with me?
No, but I will be very sad.
You just like the pain, I think.
No. It's just I've had great times. And speaking of great times, the Denver Nuggets are NBA champions, and they get a chance to defend this as the second seed. They got the Los Angeles Lakers, who were got out in front of the Pelicans while the Pelicans did baffling Pelicans things. Not appearing to exploit mismatches in any way, shape, or form, taking contested mid-range shots when they have Zion Williamson. And then Zion Williamson in the second half was just like, hey, I'm just going to get the ball every time or I'm going to eat every single one of you. And so that was an inspired halftime speech. And that looked pretty unstoppable until he hurt himself. So
It
first
did look
starting
like
there,
he was lunging to take a bite out of
I
JaVale
was
McGee.
cheering. I was cheering for the Pelicans because I don't like the Lakers just by default. So I'm just in my body. It's just used to seeing the Lakers and being like, I want you to lose. And I then, as Zion was coming through that defense over and over and
Warm
over,
butter.
I was like, you know what? Maybe I do want the Lakers to win. This looks pretty hard to stop because of Anthony Davis and LeBron James and the fact that they're allowed to foul the hell out of him. Which we would not be allowed to do without consequence. This looks hard. And I'm not sure we have as good of athletes as they have. So did you have that moment while you were watching the game where you were like, I think maybe we don't want this team?
Well, I did.
They're so stupid sometimes, but when you watch Zion, it is terrifying.
I had that thought, honestly, like a couple of times potentially throughout, where before the game, I wanted the Lakers to win. Like, I think I didn't want to see the Pelicans. And then as I watched their offense, I was like, I think I kind of do want to see the Pelicans, actually. Like, I love these shots from
Oh my gosh.
15 feet. Like, if they take these against us, we are going to just murder them. It's going to be impossible. Like, great. This is awesome. And then to your point, Zion started doing Zion things, and he was literally just knifing through the lane and laying
Which,
it
by
up.
the way, zero credit to Willie Green.
Yeah.
It was just pass the ball to Zion, and he did everything. There were no sets. There were no, like,
They were running
we got an easy one there.
They were running college offense. Like, Willie Green got inspired by March Madness and was like, this three-man weave at the top of the key is cool.
Yeah.
Wow. What a good idea. And then Zion was like, I'm going to three-man weave it, and then when I get the ball, I am going to go in a direct line at the basket, take it to Anthony Davis's chest, and somehow finish through it. Like, he was really good. So I think I'm on the same wavelength as you. I don't think we're going to sweep the Lakers.
No.
I think the refs are going to take one of these games from us. I'm really hoping that it's not game one.
Yeah.
I think game one is very important for the Nuggets to win. And I think
that was going to be my next question, so let's just get into it. Yeah. It feels like right now the Lakers have a little bit of a nobody believed in us, a little bit of that chip.
Which is such bullshit. Stephen A. Smith literally on SportsCenter today is talking about how, the Nuggets have embarrassed the Lakers throughout this season. They ruined all of their moments, and they're gonna win. Like, they're coming after the Nuggets, and this is it's personal. It might be personal. It might be, but you don't have enough talent. Like, you just don't. So,
and that's my point, is that the nobody believed in us thing is great if you steal game one. Because then you're in that locker room and you're like, yeah, you know what? F them. We are this great. We are this unbelievable team. You know what? Boom. You get some of those role players going a little bit, right? But then the moment it switches around, and if you kind of have that, like, we went toe-to-toe, we gave them everything, we got a good Anthony Davis game, we got LeBron cooking, we went after him, and we still lost by 8. Now the nobody believes in us turns into 1, 2, 3 Cancun.
It might be a sweep. If that happens,
you know what I mean?
If you have both of them go off and they lose by 8, it might be a sweep. Because that's essentially what happened last year.
Yeah.
They came out, they gave us everything they had, and then it was like kind of a... I mean, all those games were tight. They were moral victories, a lot of them. And honestly, they've carried that into this season. They've had a lot of moral victories against us this year.
Yeah.
But
not any actual ones, but some very good moral ones.
Well, nobody's looking at wins and losses, Kyle. Nobody's looking at that. They're looking at those.
It's a lot about feelings.
Yes. Yeah.
And how does something make you feel?
Yeah.
Does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel bad? And they felt good. These Lakers fans. All right, let's get into the actual matchup here. the Lakers have looked more dangerous down the stretch offensively, and they played against the Pelicans a lot of D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell famously got absolutely flambéed at midcourt throughout the whole series by like Bruce Brown, Jamal Murray, Jeff Green, DeAndre Jordan, Vlatko. Mike Malone took him one time. It was a really, really bad series for D'Lo. And yet the Lakers, you need his offense. You can't play. The other thing they can't do is, even though I saw like Gabe Vincent taking some charges and some stuff, and I was like, you little mother. Like he is, but against the Nuggets, we saw it with Miami. It's a bad thing. They will find him, and they'll get him cross-switched onto Aaron Gordon or onto Porter, and they will just shoot over him.
The problem for the Lakers is that you can't not play him.
Yeah, like you have to play D'Lo, and you kind of have to play Austin Reeves. And both of them have been very bad defensively. And so the bad news is you're already putting Anthony Davis on Aaron Gordon because he doesn't
because you have the Jokic stopper.
Yeah, because you have Rui. But then that means that, okay, so then LeBron's chasing Porter around. Okay, now you have Murray against D'Lo or Austin Reeves or Austin Rivers? Reeves. They
wish they had Austin Rivers.
We will just set pick and roll and say, switch one of those guys onto Jokic and then come help with AD. Or we are going to take a guy who cannot play defense and give him a disadvantage versus Jamal Murray. You just can't do that.
No, it's the reason why I think this is over in 5. Like, this Nuggets team is just too hard to beat. They have too many ways to beat you. They're too talented. They just don't have there are too many easy mismatches. And if you want to like try to expose somebody, they'll just figure out what you're doing. Like, Jokic is a mastermind, man. He's going to figure out whatever you're doing, especially over a 7-game series. And that, I think, is what's giving me the most confidence, especially going into like what could potentially be like our most shaky matchup wise, because the Timberwolves, but they're getting beaten in round 1.
And we're going to play that team in round 2. And I think that Suns team can score with us.
Give me a break.
I'm nervous about it. But I'm nervous about this. It feels good that I was worried that maybe my like Nugs life had fully left me. And it hasn't, right?
Oh, no.
I'm terrified. Round 1. I agree with your analysis. And on the other side, I think if you're the Lakers, you have to try to have Anthony Davis in the post against Jokic and try to hope that he can face up and hit jumpers. And because if you don't get bubble Anthony Davis, you're cooked anyway. And I just don't see enough advantage at this stage in his career. And you can't ask LeBron to carry the load.
He doesn't want to play in the post.
I just think that's the only way.
Okay, well then
I'm just saying, if I was Darvin Ham, I would say, listen,
I'm
Jokic,
not
when he's trying,
with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that there is literally nothing in the Lakers season this year or the Lakers previous 3 years. In the entire situation in the Lakers, he's essentially rigged it so that he doesn't have to play the 5.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't want that smoke. I know that Darvin Ham was smoking a lot in that locker room, talking about how they weren't ducking and dodging anybody, but I think Davis is not going to be that player. He is going to want to stay on the perimeter. He's going to want to, if he takes, well,
he can't.
that's where the Nugs life can rest, because he's gonna do that. So I think that there is potential here. Like, something weird happens in the first round of every NBA playoffs.
Yep.
And you just really have to hope that it's not us.
And LeBron can make teams question themselves. Just, okay, it's a LeBron game. And he doesn't quite have the Steph like factor of Steph when he would hit like threes on you and go on a flurry where you'd just be like, oh, well, we were playing a good game and we're down 6 now. Speaking of the death of a dynasty. But
we all still believe in Clay.
He's welcome to come here on a vet minimum.
Hey, I would give him more than a vet minimum. I think that guy could be awesome in Denver.
He can absolutely get $1 million.
He could come off the bench.
Yeah. For no money. We will never get him because he'll get money somewhere.
Yeah.
Orlando. But it just makes sense.
It does make a lot of sense.
Yeah. But I do think that
and good for them,
if you're the
honestly.
Lakers, you have to hope that you don't get a locked-in Denver defensive performance, because the thing that Denver showed was maybe the reason why teams weren't as eager to match Austin Reeves' money. Is the Nuggets made it pretty hard on old Austin to make the impact on the offensive end necessary to justify playing Austin Reeves on the defensive end. And same thing with D'Lo. And I haven't seen anything this year, and Reeves is coming in on a worse rhythm that makes me think, because you have to consistently be able to score 120 to beat the Nuggets. It doesn't mean you'll score 120 every game, and you might win games where you don't score 120. But like, you have to have the offensive capability to say, hey, when this Nuggets team gets flowing, we're going to be able to answer, and we're going to be able to survive this and only lose those minutes by a little, and then we'll kill them in the bench minutes, right? Like, that's the formula. And I don't think the Lakers have enough offense. I think they can put lineups out there to ugly up the game, but then they can't score. And they let Jokic rest, essentially, down there. And if you let Jokic rest, no matter how ugly you try to make it, by the fourth quarter, the computer will have downloaded it, and it will print out AL for you to take on your way home.
And that computer gets better over a 7-game series. Yeah. That I think is the reason why I'm so confident always in a playoff series, because Jokic is a cheat code always. I mean, he is the highest basketball IQ player I've ever seen play. But when you give him 7 games of data, like, I think that this team is just too good to get beat 4 out of 7 times. So I think, but the one question that I will, it's an interesting thought experiment. Yeah. So I think who do you think is the biggest impact Nuggets player outside of Jokic
for this
and
series
Murray?
Or for the playoffs?
This series. Because I have sort of a sneaky answer. I could give you mine, but it's kind of a hot take, so I kind of want you to go first.
It feels like you... I mean, I think it's a boring answer, but I think the answer is Aaron Gordon. In terms of, if Aaron Gordon hits any threes, you're cooked.
Game over, yeah.
And defensively, I think eventually they will, in closing time, I think they are not going to play Rui, and they are going to play Davis at the 5. And I think that then you have Aaron Gordon, who is playing against LeBron. And so we saw him, with the help of Murray, stop LeBron with the game on the line and let us walk out of LA with our brooms held high. And so I get it. It's boring, but I think that's my answer.
I think it's Peyton Watson.
I thought about him long and hard.
Yeah, I think those bench minutes are going to be huge, and I think his defensive capability is big for this series because he is so switchable, and they are going to try to exploit Jokic like they always try to, and it's just how can we hide him best, right? And
well, it depends on how they're attacking, right? Like that's why I say I think the way to attack Jokic is to say, you cannot jump with Anthony Davis. We are going to we're going to get Anthony Davis mid-post touches, but like not at the free throw line where it's easier to pinch in or bother him. We want a wing post up, and we are going to go to that. And just if he is knocking down 15-footers, which Jokic will never be able to block, then you're going to have to start doing something about this. And that's what we do, right? Now, against this big lineups, we've sometimes played AD against Anthony Davis. AG, sorry. And Porter's guarded LeBron, or and it's been okay. So there's not like there's no counterplay for the Nuggets, but to me, I think AG could guard the two best players for them.
Well, and AG's almost volunteered for that's almost the bare minimum.
But my point was, I think Jokic, you don't need to hide him if it's high pick and roll. Yeah. You need to hide Jokic on open, big open floor, like guy coming downhill with nobody, right? Like you're dead in those situations as the Nuggets, in which other teams aren't necessarily dead, right?
I think Peyton Watson is going to have a monster block on LeBron James at some point in this series. And I think those sort of things, make a big difference in the, microcosms of games, right? Like
he has a chance to be the Energizer Bunny in some games where the ball arena
and him and Christian have been buzzing.
Yeah.
Like they have been playing an entirely different type of basketball than they were playing early in the season. So I think they have the potential together, I think, to take that role of Bruce Brown that we had in that Lakers series that really made us sweep them.
Yep.
And just say no, actually, we're taking this a little bit personally. And the other thing that I will say that I can't remember who I was listening to yesterday, but it was a Nuggets insider person, and they were just talking about this team actually does not like the Lakers. It is kind of personal to them. They don't like it. They don't like that they get all the buzz. They don't like that they get all the attention. And it was Katie Wingy. She was on the DNVR podcast, and she was talking about how she thinks that this is actually potentially the best matchup for them in the first round because it'll make them get into that playoff mode earlier than they would have if this was the Pelicans or even if it was,
You don't think Jokic was sipping Raksha and looking at those 15-footers off of one pass and being like, fellas, pour another shot. We'll be fine.
We must get ready for Jose Alvarado.
Yeah. Well, he should be saying that. That guy always gives us the business. It's really annoying. But I wanted to, something that hasn't been talked about because the Lakers won the game. There were reports leaked that Darvin Ham, players wanted him fired.
Not that long ago.
Yeah. So that's the other reason why, to me, if this series gets off to a Nuggets win both games at home, don't be shocked if there's some 1, 2, 3 Cancun stuff here and some stuff where, once again, it won't be about the victory. It will be about, why was LeBron sitting out the last 5 minutes? Who will draft Bronny, and could that potentially signal that the Kings' time in LA has come to an end?
LeBron reportedly looking at houses in Sacramento.
Yeah, all options are on the table. Like
No,
I that's why to me this is if you can steal hope, and that's true of any team, but the difference is young teams, they can get a rah-rah speech from a coach and still give you hell at home. This Lakers team is old, and they've been through it, and LeBron knows when his teams don't have it. And if he sees that they don't have it, there is absolutely a way that this guy will be like, you know what? I'm just going to, we're going to do 2 podcasts a week, JJ. All right. Pencil me in for the second round there, buddy. And I'm going to do a Manning cast type thing with you too. ESPN, if you could give me the rest of my money, I would have won for winning an NBA championship. That'd be great. Right? Like,
I just don't.
They're more likely to lie down.
This
is
team,
my point.
The Lakers team is not good enough.
Shouldn't be.
They might be good enough to beat the Nuggets, but they're not good enough to go 4 rounds. This team is not winning a championship. So to your point, it's like go out, step on their throats, get 2 decisive victories at home, and then if you drop game 3, win game 4, win game 5 at home, and you're on to the second round.
Yep.
That is exactly how I see this series going. I think these games are going to be butthole clenchers because they're arguably the best player arguably the best player ever. I would put him number 2. But he's on the other team. So, like, yeah, they're going to be close. Like, the games are going to be close because it's LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They shouldn't have gotten the 8 seed. This is a disappointing season for them. Like, they have sucked for almost the entire year. So go out and put them out of their misery. And put all these Lakers fans out of their misery, too. I'm so sick of seeing Lakers fans in Ball Arena that I honestly think that eventually they'll stop coming. Like, if we just kick their ass enough in Denver, eventually they'll just stop coming. How many games do you have to see them lose in a row before you stop spending $170 to sit in my uppers?
The answer for Miami Heat fans was game 5.
Was 3.
Didn't see enough of those. They did not see any Heat fans who were like, we might be making a comeback here.
Here we come.
Yeah. All it takes is one, boys. Not a lot of that. But I guess wrapping it up, let's just make our official predictions. I'm going to take Nuggets in 7. I don't think we step on the throats. I think this team has had really bad moments, and I think the Bruce Brown veteran on the road part can't be understated. I think Peyton Watson is going to absolutely have moments at Ball Arena, and he might be the talk of the series and like get a Sports Center thing after like game 2. Like, it might be one of those games where you're like, man, he was unreal. But
you're making me go to a game 7.
I will be having a stroke beforehand, so that'll be good. They'll bring me back for me to attend game 7. But yeah, I think this is a war. I think a lot of series in the West are going to be absolute wars.
I do agree with that.
Besides now the 1-8 matchup because Zion's hurt.
I'm going 5.
Okay. I do think it's kind of one or the other. I think it goes really long, or I think
it typically is either over in 5 or it's over in 7.
Yeah.
And honestly, there can be 7-game series that don't feel that close.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, look at the Suns 6-game series, right? It didn't feel.
The Nuggets, we weren't ever really worried.
Beat the hell out of them. Yeah. All right. So, let's go through the Western Conference now quickly. The matchup, the second round matchup, I think we both have the Suns over the Timberwolves. How many games do you have it in?
I do have the Suns over the Timberwolves. Yeah, I do. I think it's going to be 6.
Yep. I was going to say 6 as well. It doesn't feel like they'll get it feels like that Minnesota crowd and that kind of Anthony Edwards can take them to there. But this is the worst matchup for the
Wait,
Timberwolves. They absolutely screwed themselves. This is going to be
the Wolves
awful.
have home court.
I know.
So I'm going to go 5.
I'll go 6 still. I think they can get...
Oh, no. No, sorry, yeah.
I think the Wolves can get...
I'm sticking with 6.
Get 1 at home and then get...
and then
get 5.
They basically
and
split
then
and
go back and lose in 6.
Yeah. I think so.
But this is the worst matchup for them. It's the team that's going to bring Gobert out to the perimeter all the time. They have shooters all over the place. It doesn't matter that you have the 2 bigs in there. I don't trust Towns as far as I can throw him. We saw what Embiid looked like coming back from a knee thing. I don't think he's going to be 100%
This is also the best thing that KD can do for American basketball is knock Anthony Edwards out of the playoffs early.
Yeah,
we need him fresh as a daisy for Paris in the summer. We cannot have him making a deep run. We need him rested. We're going to need all of that firepower for Paris.
Yeah, that's accurate. Okay. Then let's go Mavericks and Clippers. I think this is going to be the most talked about series here. Well, I mean, if Nuggets, Lakers go 7, they'll be close there. But there's some concern about Kawhi's knee. There's still swelling.
He was just announced to the Paris roster, which I think is maybe the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a worse team chemistry guy.
No. But
I'm really invested in the Olympics already.
Luka has been unreal down the stretch. It kind of feels like the kind of series that the Clippers should be just fine in. Because in theory, you go, well, you have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. You have size on Kyrie Irving. You have a physical, in his prime, the best perimeter defender in the league. And Kawhi, he's really smart. He's not going to get bullied. But Luka has messed them up. And this is the best roster he's had to go against them with.
By far.
And Dallas couldn't seem happier coming into this and more together. And the Clippers could not seem more concerned.
Somebody needs to ask Kyrie what his thoughts are on Palestine.
Yeah, it's the only way to stop it.
Like, if we see them in the second round, or would that be the second
we avoided them.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
If we see them in the Western Conference Finals, you better believe I'm asking that question, though.
Yeah. We will get media passes, and we will just ask them about
shocking we don't have
controversial
media passes.
topics.
Who do you think we have to email about that?
I think we'll take it to Kroenke himself.
I'll do some research.
Yeah. But so everything points, like vibes, chemistry towards Dallas. Yeah, I think the knee stuff is enough for me. I think I'm going to take Dallas here. I'm going to take Dallas in 7.
I'm taking the Clippers. Who has home court?
Clippers.
Then I'll take the Clippers in 5.
Whoa, in 5. Okay. That's a lot of trust in playoff P. But that'll make our friend Travis very happy to hear you say that. Then I'm just putting, I know we don't technically know, but I'm putting the Thunder through. They are going to beat the Kings. They have all the perfect pieces to bother Fox. Sabonis isn't a strong enough, big enough player to fully exploit the lack of size to an effective way. They would beat them, and the Pelicans suck without Zion. So, yeah, either team that comes out of there, give me the Thunder. Light the beam.
I'm taking the Kings.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I said that the Thunder were going to get upset in the first round. I didn't necessarily think that this was going to be how it broke.
No.
But I am sticking with it.
First round, it couldn't have broken easier for them. I think they might sweep.
I honestly, that Kings...
At 5, the Kings home court is worth a game.
The Kings team is better than I think people are giving it credit for, and I honestly think that the Thunder are worse. they're a really effective regular season team, but I think in a grinded out series, I just don't see it.
Yeah, it's a lot of Harrison Barnes for me, with no Malik Monk. A lot of
the Malik
Harrison
Monk thing
Barnes.
is a little bit worrying.
Yeah.
But Keegan Murray was unconscious last night.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce him to Lou Dort.
Lou Dort is not big enough for Keegan Murray.
I think he can. I think Lou Dort.
Keegan
can
Murray
bother
has a
him.
little bit of that Michael Porter Jr. stroke to him, which I was actually thinking about last night. I was thinking about it in bed. Wow, Keegan Murray's stroke is good. No, he's got that. He's long and he's like very. He just is very fluid in his movement, and I think with those types of shooters, it's really hard to bother them. It doesn't really matter how good of a defender you are. Like if Mike hits his shot,
no one's going to work harder to not give up the kind of looks that Keegan Murray got in the first quarter.
But who are you putting on Fox in that case? If you're putting Dort,
SGA, we're fine there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think SGA is an overrated defender.
I think he's just fine with Chet back there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think he's just fine.
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. You could have the Kings. So I have Thunder. Wow, we have two totally different teams in the top half because you have the Clippers coming out. I have the Mavs and the Thunder. I will take the Mavs in that. I'll take the Mavs in 6.
Mavs. Yeah, I don't actually disagree with that. If they get past the Clippers, I think they'll beat the Thunder. So I don't. I said that with surprise, but I actually agree with you.
Now you've got Clippers Kings. Tell me we're not putting the Kings through.
Wait to be. No, we're not. I'm going to take the Clippers.
Okay, great.
And I'm taking the Nuggets on the lower side.
I think I'm taking the Suns.
Fuck you.
I think I'd take the Suns. I think they're quietly unreal.
What are you talking about?
And I think that the whistle is going to be...
Who on their team is unreal?
Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and I was watching a stat today. The last 20 games, Bradley Beal's been shooting 66 from 3.
Oh, no.
20 games is not a small sample size.
Oh, yeah.
He is
Is that the last 20 games, like... If you count all the games he's missed, if they give him a 0 for those 3 percentages, or is that
they came in here twice when the Nuggets were trying?
Is that 20
and waxed that ass? Yeah. And once without Booker, and
we didn't have Jamal Murray.
You're correct, but
for either of them. But anyways, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Yeah, you can take the Suns. Go ahead.
I'm taking the Suns in 6.
Unbelievable, Dan.
This is where I think it ends.
And then I'm endlessly homering this, by the way. Like, I'm not picking against my team. Unbelievable that you would.
Listen, I have to tell the people what I think. So I have a Suns versus Mavericks. I am taking Luka to go to the finals.
Wow.
It's a lot of trust in Kyrie. It's a lot of microphones in front of him for a lot of weeks in a row. But I think that PJ Washington thing was absolutely highway robbery. And I think he's really good for them. I think they have a lot of size, a lot of ways to play that are really effective. And I think Luka's at an unreal level right now. I think the Mavericks go to the finals.
Wow. I mean, I have the Nuggets beating the Clippers because how else does that end?
Play the Clippers, James Harden will be a corpse at that point. Yeah. His conditioning does not allow him to play in the conference finals well. It's going to be really bad.
Wow. I can't believe that you just mentioned PJ Washington in relation to how you're picking the Western Conference Finals. I have a rookie card I'd like to sell you after this podcast.
PJ Washington's awesome.
Yeah, I have a rookie card I'd like to sell you after this podcast.
$1. So, yeah, I have. That's how I see it breaking down in the West. I have the Celtics coming out, and I do have the Celtics winning the title. by the way.
I think if in the case that the Nuggets don't make it to the finals, I have a hard time seeing anybody beat the Celtics. So
God, the East is bad. But that's that.
I can't believe we're going to end on that. I feel like we should talk about the Rockies some more just to get the taste out of my mouth.
That won't help, Ryan.
I can't believe that you just did that. Oh.
I will break it down in depth when that round matchup happens. We both have that matchup coming. We'll check in on your Sacramento Kings prediction next week. We'll react to the first round of the Broncos draft. Like I said, I think we'll have had 2 rounds, so we'll be chilling there. There's going to be plenty of time, Ryan. And by the time the Suns thing comes around, I may have changed my mind. All right? This is a rapid reaction. This is just how I feel in my heart of hearts.
Bro, Bradley Beal's last 20 games. Name
really hard.
2 other players outside of KD, Booker, and Durant on the Suns.
Well, Nurkic, I really dislike that guy. They also have Grayson Allen. I really dislike that guy.
You just named arguably the 2 most hateable players in the NBA.
They've been in it for a while. And Grayson Allen was the number 1 3-point shooter in the league this year. It's not great, Bob.
Because he plays with Booker and KD.
Yeah, that's not going to change for the playoffs.
Well,
they're going to be there, believe it or not.
Things change for the playoffs, though. Those threes get a little bit different in the playoffs. We
100%.
know that because we saw Torrey Craig hit a bunch of them in the regular season and then miss a bunch of them in the playoffs. So
you're not wrong.
Oh God, I can't believe he did that.
Listen,
I'm shook right now.
I have to tell the people what I think.
I mean, I'm glad you did. Jeez.
But
I wish I didn't know.
But the people deserve to know, though. And I had to tell you to tell the people. All right. Like I said, we'll be back next week. We've got NFL draft. We'll be in the full swing of NHL playoffs. God, seeing the Winnipeg Jets did not make me feel better about that. We may need to have another therapy session with Dom.
Last session did not seem like it helped me that much.
No.
He was just describing how we're going to get smoked by the
It's
Jets
like if you went to the therapist and they were just like, life is pain. That's a good point, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're probably not wrong about those anxious feelings you're having.
It's like a
Things
couples
could go
therapist
very
just
bad.
pitting you against each other.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not
well,
good.
that did seem messed up of him.
Yeah, a little passive, to be honest. Yeah, but we'll have all that and more next week on the Blues for Brothers. Thanks for listening. We really do appreciate it. Like, subscribe. We got a new subscriber last week. We know because they downloaded every episode of the podcast. What a homie. We appreciate you, whoever you are. Leave a review. We'll shout you out on the next podcast if you inform us who you are.
Maybe.
No, we will. Guaranteed. All right. Thanks so much. Peace.
Bye.
Blues for Brothers is a Crab Shell Media podcast.